Hi guys, welcome to my Sunday solo for Chai Tea with Nina D. And as you guys can see, I am not in my house and I'm not in Miami. I am in Italy. We thought that this would be a really good time to break up the little bit of momentum we had going on, just to take you guys along with me on my life and be able to share more of what I do, where I'm going, different cultures, different parts of the world, different parts of my life too, and just be able to share more than just 30 minutes of life lessons. I just figure we could make it more colorful. The reason I'm here though, there's a lot, and the main reason I'm here is because there was something that changed in me, I would say about 2 or 3 months prior to my birthday. I don't know what it was, but I felt like this really strong desire to just clean everything up. I don't know, take stock of relationships, take stock of my marriage, take stock of my career, of finances, of friendships, of new friendships, of networking, of work, colleagues. I am in the middle of building a team right now, hiring for my company, etc. Just tons of things. And my family, of course. My family comes first for me. My mom and my brother are definitely high on my priority list, and neither lives near me in Miami. So for me, I was just feeling very ungrounded, I could say, and I wanted to get grounded. And to me, as I get older and wiser, I feel as though connection with the right people and fostering and harboring my relationships and nurturing them gives me a lot of fulfillment alongside the creative stuff that I am doing right now with my company. Aside from that, I have lost, and I'm not afraid to say this out loud, and I'm sure other people would. Maybe there's some people out there who this might resonate with, but I have lost a lot of interest in empty things, and I had almost 10 years ago, to be very honest with you. But living in Miami, sometimes you can get FOMO. You can start to kind of wonder, where am I going in life? What am I doing? Everyone's kind of doing things to be seen and to be heard. I am a much more behind the scenes kind of person, and I know that's very hard to maybe digest because everything I do is in front of the camera, but truly, I'm actually a really big introvert. This year I felt like, how can I create a much more wholesome, fulfilling new life? And I was like, you know what? This is another one of those moments where I have to drink my own Kool-Aid. And new habits, well, first becoming aware, creating new habits, practicing them, doing them up every time over and over again, and thus you create a new life for yourself. And so for me, it started with myself, and I never got the chance to go to Italy, but I have had such a strong affinity to this country as a kid. I would read about it. I would watch TV shows on it. If there was any reality shows being filmed in Italy, I would watch them. Any episodes being in Italy, like The Real Housewives of New Jersey, The Jersey Shore. And these are not great pillars of Italy. They're not great examples. They're American reality TV shows. But still, for me, it was like the glimpse that I could get of Italy. Obviously, when we had social media and Instagram and this, if you look on my Instagram, I have so many tabs saved of where to go in Como, where to go in Portofino, where to eat in Menaggio, where to go in Rome or Florence or Venice. I'm obsessed. Anyway, this year, when it was the new year, I told myself, I'm you know what? I'm going to take myself to Italy. I'm going to go. Why do I feel like someone else is going to do that for me? Or what am I waiting for? That's another way I was looking. I'm what am I waiting for? I should go now, and there's never going to be a perfect moment. The problem that we were always coming up, or the issues that were always coming up against, is I had gotten a job. I had moved to Philly. Then I moved to St. Louis to be with my husband. I quit my job, so we couldn't really afford to go on a fancy vacation, so on and so forth. And all the trips that you guys do see me go on, 99% of them are all work related, for him or for myself. We have never had a vacation since a full vacation where our phones are away, work is away, laptop is away, since 2018, which was for our honeymoon, which was in Tulum. And it was for 4 or 5 days because that's all we could afford at the time. I always, in my mind, every year when we would think about where we were going, first of all, I'd always say to him, I'm isn't there a conference in Italy? Isn't there something going on in Italy that we can go to and make it a work and play thing? The opportunity just never presented itself. And so this year I kind of really took the reins in my own hand and steered my life this way. And the reason I say that and I bring this up is because sometimes we wait for change to happen. Sometimes we wait for something to be so obvious and then we take action. But for me in this scenario, I literally had to stop, make the decision, book the trips, book the tours, book the hotel, and say, no, I'm going. And this is what I want to do for myself. It was not an opportunity. It was not something that came to me. It was something that I had to create for myself. I had to change Brian's schedule around. I had to change my schedule around. My team had to work around my schedule. A lot went in on this 10 to 12 day trip for me. It was probably one of the best decisions I have ever made of my life. I have to say that. When I landed here, and I'll tell you how I knew, because when I landed here, we came from Miami to Frankfurt. There was no direct flights out of Miami. And then Frankfurt to MXP International Airport, which is like an hour and a half from Lake Como, which is where I am currently. So it was about a 7 to 8 hour trip in total. Not bad at all. Very fast, very easy. But when the plane landed in MXP, tears running down my face, and I was just staring out the window, and all I could feel was like, I'm home. Like, this is home. Like, I have waited so long to get here and to be here in this country and experience the people, the culture, the food, nature, the sounds. Everything is just feels like home to me. It doesn't feel very foreign to me. Like, I don't feel like I'm in a new country. I feel like I'm familiar with this place. Like, I'm home. Those emotions, because I've had a couple days to process them, were me literally feeling a release, proud that I came, grateful that I have the opportunity to be here and I'm not dead. You know, like, I have this, I'm here and I got to experience this as a human and I made it to Italy. And how many people die not fulfilling their dreams or not going places that they wanted to go to for whatever reason. And third, very grateful that I had the resources and I had like the wherewithal, I guess you could call it, to put everything else on hold for a minute and do this for myself for my birthday. 5 days prior to coming to Italy, I was in LA and I took a flight from Miami to LA and I was in like the first seat. So there's like a little bit of like footrest space there. The flight attendant looks over at me, hones in on my handbag on the floor, and the plane wasn't taking off yet. I was gonna put it up. Looks at me, yells at me in front of everybody, goes, ma'am, you need to put your handbag up in the upper bin. And I go, okay, I will. And she goes, no, right now. And she extends her hands over the guy that was sitting next to me, makes me hand my bag over to her and puts it on the top. It was so awkward that everybody was staring. It's fine, whatever. I come to Italy 5 days later, and again, I'm in the front seat, my bag's on the ground, and the flight attendant looks at me and looks at Brian, smiles. She bends down. She looks at us and she goes, hi, how are you? And she goes, and she looks at her, she goes, Miss Nina Dixon. And she goes, Mr. Brian, she's like, where are you guys coming from? She goes, oh, because we had a 7-hour flight before we got on this 1-hour flight. She's like, oh, if there's anything I can get you, please let me know. And she's like, may I hang this up for you? And then she looks at me. You could tell that this is what she wanted to say to me. But first she greeted me, talked to me, looked me in the eyes, was smiling, was super sweet, and it wasn't fake. It was genuine. You know me, I can read vibes. Then looks at my bag, she goes, may I please take your bag? I have to put it up in the upper bin. And I was like, yeah, sure, here you go. Again, immediate energy shift when I got here, when I landed here. People actually pause to look at you, to say hi to you, to say good morning to you, to shake hands with you, to smile at you, to laugh with you, to joke with you. Whereas I feel as though in my everyday life, it's very transactional, it's very cold, and everyone's in a rush. Whereas here, and I'm not talking, listen, anyone watching is like, yeah, well, you're in a vacation spot and this. No. We've been spending time with people and locals down here and been very observant with people. Like, we've been coming off the vacation areas and we've gone into a lot of places in the last 4 days and we still have more to go. People are very different here. The culture is very different. And I think, well, I know what I'm taking away from this trip is I'm going to learn how I can bring this to Miami with me. How can I bring this into my everyday life? Not that I'm expecting other people to be this way. Once again, how can I be this way for people in my life so that I'm also a calmer person? The depth of love and connection and passion that I feel here, even with my tour guides, even with the person who was driving the car, is unlike anything else that I've experienced. And mind you, I have been to like 14, 15 different countries at this point. I've been almost everywhere in America. I've traveled a lot, and I have never felt the way that I feel here. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with the fact that I just love Italy. I get that. I understand that. But still, the culture here is something that I think that we should learn from. And we should maybe try to practice a little bit of this in our everyday life. Another example I want to tell you guys is the traffic is pretty bad in Como. However, with that being said, we watched this massive bus and this massive truck literally go inches from our car. I'm not exaggerating. Like, I have videos on my phone and I'll share them on Instagram when I get back. But like literally like almost touching. No one's honking. Instead, Brian and I see a guy 2 cars in front of us stop his car, get out to stop the opposing traffic so that our lane can go by. Just a regular bystander. Nobody special, not a cop, nobody else. Just allowing this other lane to stop so that our lane can go because we were all jammed up. We go a couple more miles. Again, there's a little bit of a traffic jam. And in Italy, like, everyone's standing outside their homes or outside their shops. It was like 10:30 at this point. Just hanging out, relaxing, chilling in the morning. And you see this guy come out of his shop, walk over next to the cars and kind of go like this, like helping the traffic. I don't see that back home. I've never seen that back home. And again, something that makes me take stock of, well, I know I don't see these things at home, but do I show up like this at home? Do I go help somebody? Do I stop enough? Do I pause long enough in traffic to see if someone needs help? Do I stop my car to help somebody else? I'm going to now. I'm going to try to be a much more mindful, present person, even in my life outside of my home and outside of my family. I'll tell you why. Because it makes me happier. It's more fulfilling. Just those 2 interactions that we had this morning, Brian and I just looked at each other and we're like, this is what life is about, human connection. This is what the show is about, connecting with one another, giving space for my guests to speak about their stories that they've never told anybody, people who are not famous, who never had the chance to share their trials and tribulations with other people or their trauma so that they can feel lighter and maybe someone else can learn from their stories. When do we give one another that time and that chance and that moment of just, hey, I see you. Just basic humanness with each other. And I think that we're lacking that. And I think that it's up to us to bring that forward. Another example I'll share with you guys is I went to the Salon twice here, and they're not in a rush either. Now, I know that some people would be annoyed with this, but when your entire country and the entire culture is based on presence, intimate moments, connection, and calm and relaxation, I now know what peace feels like. It's not after meditation. It's not after box breathing. That's me forcing me into a parasympathetic state. This was just natural. Like, this is my natural state as a person. Getting my hair done. Back to the same point. She's laughing, she's talking. Yes, the appointment went a little bit longer than it should have. But then the second time I went, I just simply asked, can we go a little bit faster? But still, very present. Everything is done with love so far that I have witnessed in this country, whether it's food, hair, car, driving, tourist, camera, the person giving you a cappuccino, the person taking you to your seat. Everything is done with love and intention and not transactional. Now my favorite topic, food. I don't know if you guys remember episode 16 with Chef Luigi in Miami that I had on the show. And we had a little bit of a back and forth about Italy. And I was telling him how I was going to be here. And I had asked him a couple of things if they're really true. And he said they were. Everything that he has said on the show is true about Italy. Tomatoes, out of this world. Pasta, completely different. Told Brian the other day I can never eat pizza in America ever again because it's just not the same. Pizza here, I ate an entire pie this big by myself and felt nothing but pure satisfaction and contentment. Not bloated, didn't feel guilty, didn't feel bad, had no allergic reactions to anything, which I'm very sensitive to foods. Absolutely nothing. He touched on everything. We went through a market today. As I was approaching the food market, I could smell the honeydew. I could smell the watermelon from afar, and everything was small. I don't even have to go any further as opposed to what I'm used to. You know, sometimes I cut a papaya or a honeydew at home. It tastes like chemicals, and then smells sweet and chemical. And I know everyone knows what I'm talking about. Nothing tastes like that here. It tastes phenomenal. Then we went into a wine shop, and I'm not a big drinker, but Brian likes, a drink here and there. And we tried 3 different wines, and the guy was so kind. He was telling us all about, I was asking about sulfites, and he was explaining the science behind it and how the farmers grow things here. And the sulfites get added on after the fact because of how things are grown. But if they're grown correctly, meticulously, which takes a very long time, in the correct sun and the correct temperature, there's 0.23% of sulfites compared to the 60, 70, 80% sulfites that are in other, exported, imported wines in other countries. And that is why people don't get hangovers or don't get sick here or don't get headaches. It's because their stuff is just so pure and so clean. It's basically Whole Foods. That's all they use and it's all they cook with in their restaurants and at home. I also had the cheese, which was phenomenal, by the way. Their pasta. So their pasta here, the main dish here in Como is buckwheat pasta with cabbage and potatoes and cheese, I believe. I tried that. I tried a regular tomato sauce pasta, and then I tried a pesto pasta. Gosh, the tomato one was my favorite, but the other two, exceptional. You have to be in the mood for the other two, for me at least, but they were phenomenal. And again, felt totally fine. If I eat pasta at home, I'm taking a nap after. I had pasta here, and then we went for an entire tour after. Not tired at all. Obviously, we had gelato, which supposedly, if the gelato is in plastic buckets or bins and is mounded, it's not real gelato. If it's into a deep silver container, like a steel container that's deep and you have to scoop it out, that would be fresh batch gelato. And so our tour guide actually showed us a fake gelato shop, and then she showed us the real gelato shop, which I thought was really interesting. Basically, what I've come down to at this point are a couple things that I wanted to share with you guys, because I'm sure this might resonate with somebody out there. And if this might be your calling, this might be your sign to just book that trip, quit that job, or go for that job, ask that person out, or leave the person that's not making you happy, whatever it is in your life, go for it. Don't wait around. Italy has definitely solidified for Brian and I both that eventually we want to move here. And I I played with the idea of saying this out loud, because there's something about saying things out loud, right? But for me, I am going to say it out loud, because I would love nothing more than maybe 1 to 3 to 5 or even 10 years. I'm not putting a time limit on this, that I can look back on this video and say, I did it. I did exactly what my little heart told me to do back then, and I did it. Just like I'm doing what, Nina has been wanting to do for so many years. And it turned out to be the best thing I've ever done. There was something here that my soul had to see and had to experience. And I knew it all along as a child that I was meant to be here. But we both want to buy a place in Italy eventually, or rent, whatever, and spend 5 to 6 months here out of the year. And we're probably going to do that sooner than later, because we both feel this is the point of life. This is it. To slow down, to savor it, to enjoy your meals every day, to enjoy playtime. I mean, we're out here playing tennis every single evening when we get back to the hotel. We are actually talking to one another, looking at each other when we're eating dinner. We are being present. He's already written 2 rap songs while being here. We've only been here for 4 days. The creativity and the inspiration and the connection, and just remembering who we are as a unit, who we are as individuals, why I'm doing the show, why he's creating these funds, everything became crystal clear again, because we stepped away. We intentionally stepped away and immersed ourselves in a different world. And I can't say enough good things about this. And I honestly would tell everyone to do this. Please don't wait for the next moment, the next year, the next month, or 5 years from now. Nothing is the end of the world, to be honest with you. I think that's where we have regrets, when we put things on the back burner that would light up our soul. So I know people always ask older people on their deathbed, oh, what do you regret the most? Or what would you do differently? Why aren't we asking people in their 30s or 40s or even 20s what they would do differently, so that they can stop now and pivot their life so that they can have a much more fulfilling, happy life? And that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And that's what I was very moved and pulled to speak on, is that it's never too late. We don't have to wait till we're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old to think about what we would do differently, because those are the examples that were shown. We can do that right now. We can make that change right now, because at the end of the day, and I'm going to say it again, Life is what you make of it. We decide, we make those choices, we work our life around those things. On my birthday, I would say, which was yesterday, I was very introspective by nature. Normally on my birthdays, I tend to just do something low key. I'm usually home. I slowed down for this one, for sure. And I enjoyed every moment of it. But in the morning and in the middle of the day, I had a little bit of like time to like just kind of think to myself, and especially in the evening when we were at the pool. We were actually in Switzerland yesterday, in Lugano, which is like a mountain over. When walking around Switzerland, which by the way is beautiful as well, I mean, it looks fake. I thought I was walking in a magazine the whole day. We stopped in 2 churches, and when I was in the church, I again got emotional and was just like, thank you, God, for bringing me here. Thank you for nudging me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity and the resources, but also just the mindset and the wherewithal to like stop and come here for myself, because this is exactly what I needed. To remember life is so much more than the things we do. It's so much more than work and bills and numbers and goals that we're hitting and things that we're doing and all the responsibilities that we have going on. It's so much more than that.